Introducing Diarrhea dBud hearing protection. From load-in to sound check to the roar of the crowd. For the music you love at every level.
This is Chris Kies, from your guitar. Today I'm at the historic Ryman Auditorium with the historic Diarrhea Planet.
Hey!
This is a shredator-in-chief, Jordan. Jordan, how you doing?
Doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course, dude.
Big fan.
You guys are a Nashville institution of rock and roll, and we're glad to be here to celebrate you guys not only doing like 2 shows, I don't want to say one-off, but 2 shows. You're playing the Ryman tonight as a headliner. I got to see you guys open for Isbell years ago.
Yeah.
And tomorrow you're playing the Bonnaroo, so yeah. The true Nashville treat.
Tennessee, 2-shot there,
The old Tennessee 2-star.
Yeah.
But we'll make this the tri-star, because this is another Tennessee treat for our friend Dave Johnson. Tell me all about number 73.
Yeah, so this is number 73, made from scale model guitars. It's Dave Johnson. He's been our tech and DP for man, I don't even know. Me and Dave were actually trying to figure out when we met each other the other day, and it's been so long we couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I made this back in 2015, I think, or 14 or something. It is number 73. That's where it gets its name. But it's a alder body with a maple neck and ebony fretboard. It's obviously based on a guitar. I won't say the name so we don't get sued or anything.
It's a solid guitar.
It's a solid guitar, yeah. Or as I like to refer to it as Satan's guitar. But yeah, basically the idea behind this was it's a 61 Melody Maker neck that Dave traced, and we chose the maple so I could, if someone threw a bottle of beer or a PBR at me, because our shows are rowdy, I could baseball bat it right back at him without shattering the neck. And then
but why alder? To interrupt you, but because I'm an asshole. But why alder? Because that's typically not a SG, or solid guitar.
Satan's guitar. Satan doesn't like alder. It sounds too much like altar, and it reminds me of church too much. I chose alder. The whole goal of the guitar was we have a really active live show. And I started having some weird back stuff going on, and so we wanted to make the guitar 5 pounds or less. At the time, we couldn't source any mahogany that was going to make that goal, and so we sourced some alder instead and went with that. And so this guitar does weigh, less than 5 pounds. I can do all kinds of crazy stuff with it, as you can see. So it rules.
Yeah. What else should we know about a pickup? Anything with hardware that's specific to requests you made for Dave?
So every guitar I do gets Godo locking tuners. I really like the Godo stuff because it's really lightweight, and pricing wise, dude, it's such a good deal for what you get.
Yeah.
This is just, I don't even know what hardware this was. The pickup in this is an interesting one. It's a pickup made by Brian Porter for Nick Greer. It's a Greer Wine Porter pickup, and it's a humbucker that it kind of walks this weird middle ground between a P90 and a PAF. I generally, with Diarrhea Planet, use PAFs instead of hot output stuff because it has a little bit more of a bouncy, rounder feel.
Yeah.
And allows me to stack and have more gain stages than if I just do a hot one out the gate. And so I've for years kind of gone back and forth on it, but I've never found something that works as good with the wood. And so I kind of we were speaking earlier a little, but I kind of just accepted that this brings out something snappy and cool in this guitar. It's what it sounds like, and so I made it work really well.
The obvious question for me, or the next one, would be switch on a 1 pickup guitar. Explain.
Yeah, sure, man. So this switch, this idea came from a company called Framus Guitars. My amp tech actually used to deal him here, and so he would, all the time when I'd be at his shop, I'd be looking at him, and Dave brought up the idea of I only do single pickup guitars, of putting what's called a high octane switch in it. And essentially all this does is, so I have my volume wide open most of the set. I rock my tone knob half closed, so it's on 4 or 5 typically. And sometimes, like, you know, I might roll my volume even a little bit back to get a little cleaner tone. But if I need to like jet out in front of the mix really quick without having time to hit my knobs, if I flip this switch, it bypasses the tone and volume circuits and it hardwires this pickup directly to the jack. So it's like immediately you're back, tone knob wide open, volume wide open.
Full throttle.
And you can rip. And with it going straight to the jack, it does have this little bit of like an extra like harmonic thing going on, where to me it almost sounds like you have a treble booster on it a little bit or something. So it's really, really useful for having to do a switch where you can't roll both at the same time as quick as you need it. So
where'd you get the tone roll off? Because I know that typically is something you think of like woman tone or like a neck pickup, which you clearly don't have. But where did you get the idea to kind of ride that tone knob so thick in terms of a single pickup in the bridge?
So I got this from the band Celtic Frost. Alec, or Tom G. Warrior, or Tom Gabriel Fisher, is one of my favorite musicians ever. The front man of that, he's got another great band called Triptychon. And they put out this album in like 2006 called Monotheist that was like, it's like a game-changing metal album. It's unbelievable, but the guitar in it was like the biggest guitar tone I've ever heard. It was like so brutal and insane. And so I started reading about what he did to get that tone, and like a big part of his sound has always been, he rolls his back even more to where he said his tone's almost closed all the way.
Wow.
And I mean, you definitely can hear it with the right pair of headphones. So I just started doing it, and it just made all my stuff sound thicker and meaner. And like low mids, when you get them right, can really be a game changer. If you do like in DP, I play more rhythm than lead. And so for me, it's like trying to fill out some of the angrier low end stuff, bringing in a little bit of those low mids to get a little nastier with that. Like I just really like how those frequencies sound.
Now, how much of your choices that you're making for DP is based on the fact that you have 3 other guitar players that you're competing against, like where you need to find your nook and cranny of the band?
So at DP, it's really funny. It is very difficult to make 4 electric guitars work all together. Everything is like for guitars designed to be like upper mid-range and everything. And so generally speaking in DP, I find we all have to roll off way more bass than we typically would in other bands, which is pretty normal for a live mix, but it's very much based on like Evan kind of fills out more of the low end. I kind of am trying to sit on top of that since we play a lot of rhythm.
Okay.
And then Emmett and Brent kind of sit a little more in the upper mids. So we all have a ton of upper mids going. And so it's really just kind of a delicate balance of like, when we're playing together in a room, you'll see everyone's kind of tweaking till you start noticing, okay, I cut now, and that's my tone.
Yeah.
And so it changes a little bit, but that's kind of the scheme that we've started rocking a little bit is me and Evan holding down and making like a wall of sound with Mike to make the rhythm really big. And then Emmett and Evan are kind of like, you could think of like starfighters or X-Wings flying around the like space station shooting everybody else with their like higher end tone. So
Man, I love that your guys' like amalgamation of like influences. Like you've already referenced Celtic Frost.
Yeah.
I know Hendrix is the big thing, and you guys have like pop sensibilities of what you guys all wrap that in like a warm blanket of melody. It's funny because it's hard to label what you would categorize your music, but it's like everything. It's just all.
It's like a good catch-all I see all the time, like garage punk, and it's like, yeah, I guess that kind of works.
For some songs.
Oh yeah, it's kind of sloppy, so yeah, but it's also really tight. I don't know.
What should we know about strings?
Dude, man, I have for years used the exact same strings. I use the balanced tone set from Diarrhea, which it's like 11 through. It's got a heavier low end. I think it's closer to the low end of a set of 12s, like where it's like 50 or something like that, or like 51. I can't remember, but I do the balanced set of strings that they make, just a little heavier than your normal 11s. I want to say it's like a 50 on the low E.
All right.
So.
And then what about picks? Is there anything you use specifically, or just anything you can grab?
Yeah, so in the past, like I always used, when we were touring all the time, I really liked, what were they, Diarrhea. It begins with the letter C, but it's like this hard plastic that they make that's really, it's like an acrylic almost, and I used like 1.25 to 2.0 back then.
Damn.
I got to the place where I was tired of using picks that are so, like, you have to order them, and it's like, dude, I just need to be able to walk into a guitar center.
Yeah.
And I started playing a lot more metal too, and so I found it was a smart idea to go down to a more like a slightly lighter pick. So I've stuck with just the plain old Dunlop green Tortex because you can just buy these at like any store anywhere, and I just got like before I was using like gravity picks and stuff where it's like $20 for one.
Damn.
And it's like, you know, you're at a show playing and you drop it and you're like, dude, I literally just
give that back.
Yeah, it's like I literally just dropped $20 in the toilet. Or it's like, yeah, somebody's like, hey, can I get it? Someone picks up your pick and you're like, I got a pick, and you're like,
no,
give it back to me, like right now. Like I've got these souvenir picks you can have, but you can't have my actual pick because that's a $20 pick. So, you know, I decided it was a smart idea to maybe stop using that stuff.
Yeah,
so,
and then being in Nashville, you can probably run into 1 out of 5 people will have a green pick on them. The green Tortex.
So what's funny is I actually never. I was at a Eastside Music Supply, and you know their whole thing is
Blair.
Yeah, Blair and Brandon love making everything green, and so their picks that they had out that they made with their like logo, I think were these. And I just like took one out of a bowl one day, and I was like playing some like quick riff stuff, and I was like, man, what is this? Like I love this pick, and Blair was like, oh, they're our favorite. They're like this one, and so ever since Blair, I have like a lot of things actually Blair's shown me that I end up going with because of him. So
that's awesome.
And yeah, stuck with him ever since.
Anytime we can mention Blair or Brandon in a rig rundown, it's all good. Well, let's move on to this shred stick because you guys have a guitar cavalcade in your arsenal. When it comes to 4 guitar players, so we gotta keep moving. But what's this about?
So this is number 2. This is a Dave Johnson Diarrhea Planet special. He's got the DP special over at Scale Model. So this is one of the brand new Kramer strikers from China, I believe. Unbelievably underrated guitars, amazing neck. I just ripped out all the neck pickups, put a bare knuckle nail bomb in it. This is a Graphtec Resomax bridge and tailpiece. It's a really cool metal alloy they make. It's a lot lighter weight than your typical bridge and stuff too. It just kind of changes the overall feel. And then same thing, we've got the Godo locking tuners on this guitar. Dave barely had to do any work on the nut. It was like perfectly cut. I Scotch-Brighted the neck, you know, just green Scotch-Brite pad. But I went into the shop to buy a different one at Corner Music actually, and I was gonna buy this Les Paul, and as soon as I picked this guitar up, like the neck reminded me so much of my Scale Model because I like the unfinished tongue oil necks and stuff that I had to go with it. So it's a really cool sounding guitar, very 90s heavy metal, cargo short metal, you know, cargo short bands, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, you know, get a little
mall metal,
we're all there, man. Sepultura going there,
dude.
like nail bomb or fudge tunnel, you know, it's kind of in the realm of that sounding guitar, so I really like it a lot.
Now, is this a backup or does this get brought out for certain songs?
So it's mainly a backup. I've always been kind of like I'll rock like one guitar till I break a string. I say backup, not that I love either one like more or less than the other. I do, Scale Model will always be my number one because Dave's my guy, but I do really love this guitar and how it sounds. It might come out on some, but generally I'll probably stick with this guy just for singing. The horns are better. I even did the move the strap button to the back.
I was going to bring that up because I wouldn't bring it up because we talked about it earlier, but you know, the solid guitar is known for its neck dive. Yeah. But you leaned into it with this one. Yeah. Explain why you love the neck dive.
And I'll be real, I'm not the only guy who loves it. I've turned a couple other guys on, and now they're hooked too. I know the guys in Soot really dig it. So what you do is, the neck dive is not a problem with SG or with Satan's guitars. It's a my bad. It's a feature. It's not a bug. And the reason that I prefer the neck dive, I hate having a guitar purposefully like engineered so it stays in one place. With Diarrhea Planet, we move a lot, and I need the ability to like get in a lot of different positions with the guitar. And so when you're used to having the neck dive allows you to determine where the headstock go. It's not the other way around where the strap button's pulling it somewhere. And so I can't play guitars without the neck dive because I got to be able to like make it go wherever I want it to.
I'm slowly seeing your point. I feel like I'm being, you're like a Jehovah Witness on me right now. Like,
dude, man, you gotta convert, man. You know, that's bonus points in heaven for that one, dude. It's a strap lock on the back, dude.
And we'll wrap up the guitars with why no neck pickup. That's clearly a thing that you are gonna die on.
Yeah, dude. You know, neck pickups are great for the guys that want to disappear in the mix. Dude, I hate neck pickups. It's exactly what I said. You want to be out of the mix quick. It's like we're not playing old-timey grandpa, like, you know, vaudeville music, so on an arch top. So to me, it's like I've never enjoyed neck pickups. If you want that tone, man, just close your volume or your tone knob. Just start rolling it up till it gets like the woolly big sound that you want. That will always cut more than the neck pickup sound that's similar in a live mix. And so that's just kind of where my head's always at. I prefer to have less of everything because I only have so much time in my life to master all the things that I want to. And so if I have less options, I have more of a chance of actually getting to that mastering goal.
Yeah. Well, moving on to the amps, it has less going on, we'll say, you know, a fair number of knobs, but it has a mega amount of watts.
Yeah.
So tell me about the 6505.
Man, the 6505, I wanted a 5150 for years and just got an insane deal on this head. And it immediately, when I plugged into it, it was like, dude, this just sounds kind of like, I'd always said I wanted a bigger, more low-mid focused version of an 800. And I did not expect that I would love this amp as much as I do, but it kind of was exactly what I was looking for. And dude, it surprisingly cleans up great for, I disagree with everyone who whines about the clean tone. Like for a live clean tone, it's like, it just needs to be a little quieter and not distorted. That's fine. Like everybody can tell that means it's clean. Just throw a delay on it. No one will know that it's not a shimmering God sending the angels down from heaven sound. Like, it's like, dude, I do that for 5 minutes. So the brutality of the distortion is just so great. And the 120 watts of high headroom kicks ass. You know, we're running 12L in this too, and this Tyrant tone cab, so it screams. It's the Zach Wild 12L.
Oh, okay.
In there. It's a 300 watt speaker.
Damn.
So, same thing, like this one has vintage 30s in it too. So it's plenty of volume with the speakers up here.
We see Dale cabs littered across your stage, and that obviously goes out to Elad, who's you know, seen everyone probably got introduced to him through All Them Witches. But did he touch the PV at all, or is it just as you bought it?
So the PV, so actually with the amp tech, Elad's an old friend of mine that I met through when I worked at Eastside Music Supply, and he just makes the best cabs like in town. Like they're so cool, like they're kind of like an old Sun cab, and just love his stuff. But John Capito actually works on my amps.
Okay.
He had a company, Magnetic Flux Music, and so John hit, I think, pretty much every amp on this stage almost that needed it before the show tonight, but he's been our tech for years.
Did he do any mods or just kind of give it some TLC?
So on this one, and I just have to, I'm just telling this story because it's a great story, but to the testament of how tough these heads are, I bought this head, thought it sounded great. Turns out I had a blown screen resistor and it wasn't even using all 4 power tubes. Been playing it that way for months, had no idea. And so John just fixed the screen resistor, and now it uses all the tubes and sounds great, but everything else was totally good in it. So
interesting.
So no mods at all, totally stock, loving it. We're gonna see where it goes because
the mod is that it's fully functional now.
Yes, the mod is that. Yeah, he modded it to fully work properly. Yes.
Well, let's move on to the pedal board.
Absolutely, dude. Nothing too crazy here. I'm sure, you know, you see I've got my tuner, and then that feeds into, I've got a super overdrive, or I've got my phaser first, a Spaceman Explorer. That's replacing, for years I had a Mutron Phase 3 clone that I bought on eBay that was a no-name thing that I loved, and it finally, you know, kicked the bucket. And when I tried out the Spaceman, it was like the exact pedal I wanted to design in my head, like right off the gate, so I couldn't believe it, and I bought it. It's like so great. And then next to it, I've got a Electronic Audio Experiments, the OX EAE Boost. This is my personal favorite pedal on the planet.
Yeah.
Dude, it does everything. The hardest thing about this pedal is if you want to use it as a booster and overdrive, but it can do the post-punk tones like from bands like Shame and stuff, the really like bring, like Lee's, or the pew, 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 like they're weird. I don't know how to imitate it, but it's like the weird sound you think of with post-punk guitar tone that sounds like a really good Telecaster. You can do that with any guitar with it, but you can also get traditional treble booster tones, or you can just get like gnarly ass stuff out of it. So
how are you typically deciding to run it?
So for DP, I'm using this as a boost for my solos. The reason being is that like you can make anything cut with it. I jokingly call this pedal the knife because it's easier than saying OX EAE, because it's just like, yeah, it's a knife. Like I need to like cut through something and leave no prisoners behind. So it's like, that's what we're gonna do, man. And so I use that one for lead boosts, and then the super overdrive's just up here for when I have to switch to my backup amp. If I blow this one up, it's an Ampeg B25 from the 70s. They don't, obviously it's not gonna drive as hard as the 05. So this is here to stack with my KTR, and the KTR has been mine and everyone else's in DP's main overdrive since like 2000, like, I don't know, 14, 15, something like that.
Explain how you guys all landed on having a KTR. I know it's a popular pedal, but literally, as we'll go through the rundown, you all have them. So what's up?
So it's a really cool story. So we actually received these directly from Bill.
Wow.
And the best thing about it is we're the only band I know of that had to earn their KTRs.
So Bill's a Planeteer.
Yes. So what happened was we had a friend named Matt who worked for him, and he brought Bill out to our show a show we did in like Boston a long time ago. And Bill brought Klons for all of us to try. Like, it was just for us to try out, maybe use at the show if we wanted to, whatever, but mainly for sound check. So Bill, hands them to us and it's like, all right, we'll get them back from you after sound check, whatever. So we put them on our boards, and like we start playing, and it was like, dude, this is the sound that we've all been trying to find. We've gone through so many overdrives. So we finished sound checking, and then Bill like walked out on stage, and he's like, all right, guys, I know I said that you could borrow them, but that sound check was so sick that I want you guys to keep them.
Oh, wow.
And so we earned them through the shred. We impressed Bill F with our shredding, and he let us keep the KTRs. And ever since then, everyone's like, yeah, I'll never get rid of this, because it's like it's just so cool that we impressed the guy who made like one of the most influential drives of all time, enough that he let us keep them. Like, that just
rad.
means so much to me. So
I feel cooler standing next to you, knowing that that's the story of why these red boxes are on your boards.
Yeah, it was cool. He's a sweet guy. And then
what's the last one here?
So this is another. Got to shout out my boy Blair White at EMS. So my delay that I use is the Mr. Black Tape X2. I have owned a bunch of El Capistans. That was my favorite delay for forever. I don't always love using them live because of how complicated they are, and that type of money on the board freaks me out usually. I know I sound ridiculous as there's a KTR there, but I just try to stay away from complicated pedals that could get stomped real easy and destroyed. And Blair, I went in to buy it. It was like my fourth one, and Blair was like, yo, dude, just letting you know, there's something here that's going to blow that out of the water for what you do that I think you need to try first. And I was like, all right, whatever. And so he put me on this thing, and within 5 minutes it was like I had like 3 guys coming over like, what delay are you using? That sounds great. And I've been with it ever since. It knocked my Strymon out. So
wow.
And I still love Strymon, to be clear, but the Tape X2 is it's a much simpler version of a tape echo, just 3 knobs. So it's very familiar if you're used to 3 knob delays. You can save one setting to recall it, so you can technically run 2 different delay settings.
So it's kind of like having a GED level pedal rather than like a master's degree in pedals.
Yeah. It's like, and that's kind of, for me, that's just all I'm about, is like simplicity. It's like, man, I just need an amp that I can drive into a good distorted sound. At most, I might need a phaser and a delay and like a boost. It's like I try to keep everything simple and think of things in terms of like, I just need an amp that distorts really well and will give me a decent clean tone, and never try to think about it too much of like, if I don't have this pedal, I'm going to be the worst guitar player ever.
Yeah.
So there's only 2 pieces of gear that are guaranteed to make every musician better. So
what are those?
it's a metronome and a tuner.
Oh, I will leave you on this, Jordan. What do we need to know anything about effects loop? Are any of these in the effects loop, or are they coming all into the amp?
So obviously with the 6505 being a high gain amplifier, I do use with Diarrhea Planet the normal gain channel because I don't need the high gain for DP. And so I do run my delay through the effects loop, but then everything else I run in the front.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I just try to keep it, and I don't even change the channel. I just keep it on the lead channel the whole time and roll my volume and turn my overdrive off for a clean tone. So, and it works out really great. So just play softer.
Well, hell yeah, dude. I appreciate it. We got to cruise with the rest of the guys.
Yeah, sounds good.
We have scooted over just slightly. We were with Brent. Brent, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Real good, man. I'm glad to be able to do this with you guys. You guys are, like I said to Jordan, a Nashville institution of rock and roll. So
Hell yeah.
let's get busy with it. You got 1 guitar, 1 pedal board, 1 amp.
That's right.
Let's start with this shred stick.
All right. So I actually kind of built this with Dave Johnson of Scale Model Guitars.
Heard of that guy?
Yeah. We're a big fan of his. But I sourced all the parts. I actually painted the body in my parents' garage.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was interesting. That was definitely a learning experience. And then my goal was to kind of put it all together myself. But as I went on, I was like, I definitely
is harder than it looks, huh?
It's definitely harder than it looks. So even if you already have all the parts and pieces made, it's definitely still a challenge.
Now,
so.
what is there anything to say about the body? Is it a Fender, a Squire, or just some no name?
I think it's just some no name. I found it for a good price, and it was light, and I was like, it'll look great in this kind of off-color yellow. So.
Yeah. And what should we know about the humbucker?
The humbucker is made by Alex Avedizian. He's based out of Atlanta. He does a lot of stuff for like metal bands.
Yeah.
I think he's put some pickups in like Matt Pike from High on Fire and Sleep.
I want to say
his guitars.
I want to say the guy from Royal Thunder. Josh Weaver, I think has one of those.
Yeah.
But what do you dig about that?
It sounds really good. I don't remember to be honest, how he wired it. I think it's like slightly hot. I was using like a DiMarzio Superstortion before.
Okay.
So I told him not to go quite that hot, but hot enough to it's push-pull.
Oh, so you got that single coil action?
Yeah, so it's got, it's a little bit more versatile than it looks.
Yeah.
Not much, but...
What do we know about the tailpiece of the tremolo?
So the tailpiece is, I want to say, it's a Trem Setter.
Okay.
That's the brand, or Hip Shot. It's just kind of a blade style, but it's super smooth. So you can actually, dive bomb and, do a lot of like heavy vibrato, and it stays in tune pretty well.
What should we know about the pick guard? Because that's dazzling.
Another thing I just found on eBay.
You're an eBay guy.
I know. It's great. So yeah, I found this. I think I just found like a blank sheet and had Dave Johnson cut out the shape. So it worked out. And then these were, I think these were called like cupcake knobs. They're kind of based off like K or Harmony, like old vintage knobs. But I just liked the way they looked on like a kind of a shredder Strat. I call it like a Nashville style shredder Strat.
Yeah, I get that vibe.
Yeah.
Let me guess, neck, eBay?
Neck was eBay, that's right. This is actually the third neck that's been on this guitar. It started out with a custom build from Mario Guitars in Murfreesboro, or Mario Martin, I think.
Yeah.
And it was super nice, but there was just something I didn't quite like about it, just playing it live. And then I had a Warmouth on here, and then I tried out my buddy's Telecaster that just had a super thick boat neck, and I was like, that's what I want. So found one on eBay, and I've had it on there ever since.
Yeah, and we can attest. We all picked it up off camera, and it's not a Phil Collins neck, but it is definitely a Louisville Slugger of a neck.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, and I love the I don't know if you did that or the coloring of the neck.
It came that way, so.
It looks like it kind of was almost near a fire.
Right. Yeah. Maybe that's why it was so cheap. I don't know.
Well, and roasted necks are all the rage now, so you're ahead of the curve.
Yeah, absolutely.
What should we know about strings?
Strings, so usually I'd use D'Addario. I've actually got String Joys on here now.
Okay.
I picked some up the last time I was in town we played Exit In back in November. So I went to Corner Music and I was like, I want to give these a try, local company.
Yeah.
And I really liked them, so picked some up again, and yeah, good shout out to String Joy.
Yeah, good yet another Nashville brand that we're happy to promote here.
Yeah, absolutely.
What should we know about the Laney? I'm sure that you flew out of town, so why the Laney is your amp of choice?
My plan was always kind of to borrow an amp for these shows because I was flying, but just didn't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
So our bass player Mike picked this up for like $200 or something like that, like a year ago, and I was just kind of practicing with it, and I was actually maybe going to play out of this, but I practiced. I was like, this sounds like pretty awesome. Like it's super clean. I can kind of get my tone just from my pedals and blast it out of this thing. It's 50 watt. I think it's EL34, but don't quote me on that.
So it is a tube amp.
It is a tube amp, yep.
That's a hell of a deal for...
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently these are, like still kind of a secret grab.
Now.
Yeah, maybe not now, we'll see. But yeah, it's a good amp. It's got 2 channels and some reverb. I haven't really dug into that much, but so far so good.
Yeah, because you're just fresh off a plane, so it's
right.
You're plug and play, man. So what should we know about your pedal board that juices this bad boy?
So I'm kind of running it all off of well, you can't see it, but it's I don't know how you say their company, like Shonks or...
Oh yeah, Siox.
Siox, yeah. It's Atom. It's like a very thin pedal board power supply that I don't actually think they make anymore. I think they have a similar model with a different name, but it works great and it fits under a little board like this. It's got 4 power output slots, so I am daisy chaining a few things, but it works out. I haven't gotten any noise or interference so far.
What's the board actually? Because that looks, obviously
it's
almost like a piece of furniture.
Yeah. It's a guy out of Kentucky. I think it's like Kentucky Hot Brown Boards or something like
Okay.
that, or Kentucky Brown Boards, something like that. Got it off Reverb.
Not eBay.
Not eBay this time.
Come on.
Yeah. Gotta keep
Diversify your
Gotta
dollars.
keep you guessing.
Yeah.
But yeah, then I'm running, just a mini tuner. With a board like this, I feel like the mini pedals are kind of clutch, so I can fit more on a small space.
Absolutely.
But Phase 95, it's a classic. You got basically every MXR phase circuit in there in like a tiny package, so that works out. And then we all got the KTRs. I'm sure Jordan
He
gave you the rundown about
gift.
that. So it was really cool. You know, I'll probably always have that pedal just because it was an experience. So yeah, after the Klon KTR, running that into the Bogner, the KTR is kind of just like my general clean tone on all the time.
All right.
And the Bogner's kind of more recently what I've been relying on for kind of my amp sound, just because, you know, if I'm getting off a plane, maybe not having my amp with me, I can kind of keep, that will, you know, kind of shape whatever I'm playing out of. So that way I can kind of keep a consistent tone regardless of what I'm playing out of. And that's also, it's kind of my amp and my drive.
Nice.
And then you know, I don't love a lot of the cheap Moore stuff, but sometimes it does the trick.
Yeah.
And this is the yellow comp, so it's based off the diamond, you know, yellow compressor. And I'm kind of just using it more as like a clean boost than anything. It's got a ton of volume on tap, so it works super well for that. And then last but not least, classic carbon copy. I've been through a ton of delay pedals, and at least for this application, you know, lousy rock band, or not lousy, loud. Can we edit that? Can we edit that? Yeah, just the lousy rock band. But carbon copy for a loud rock band is like kind of perfect. You know, it's not.
Take it again, because go for it.
You know, just the lousy pedal for a lousy band.
Okay, go for it.
All right.
I'm leaving that all in.
Yeah. Okay. I'm down. But yeah, carbon copy. It's just a good kind of noisy guitar player or guitar. Man, I'm all kinds of discombobulated now. Okay. Third time's a charm.
Yep.
But you know, carbon copy. I'm not running it into effects loop or anything, so it's just a good noisy pedal for. You know, we're kind of a noisy band, so it works perfect for that.
Yeah, it's funny, like there's so many delays out in the market, DL4 Mark II, obviously the Strymon stuff.
Right.
But sometimes the carbon copy gets the job done.
It does. I mean, I have a Source Audio Nemesis that I use a lot at home.
Yeah, that thing's a whole computer in itself.
Right, it's awesome, but I mean, for something like this, like you can't beat a carbon copy or something similar to that, Boss DM2. So yeah. Pretty simple, but it works.
Hell yeah, Brent. Appreciate
Awesome.
you. I got to talk
Thanks,
to the rest of
Chris.
the lousy guitar players.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are with the third guitarist of the band, Emmett. Emmett, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Really well. I'm excited to talk to you because we already talked to Jordan and Brent, and they have cables, real amps, non-scale fretboards. So you bring a whole different flair to the band. You got wireless unit. We'll get to the Kemper, scale-up fretboard, up and down that sucker. So, but let's start talking about the guitar, and then we'll get to the fretboard. But tell me about the instrument.
Yeah, so this is my custom whip built by Dave Johnson of Scale Model Guitars. I'm sure we've mentioned Dave 8 or 9 times at this point.
Do you guys get like credit per mention? Like a
between you and me. But yeah, so I went to National Guitar Workshop when I was a kid, and my teacher there, Shane Roberts, had a Fender Performer. And it was the first time I'd ever seen one. I was just blown away. It was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I want to play one of those someday. And never thought I would actually get my hands on a real one. So I was talking to Dave after I had an old guitar fall out of the back of Ian's pickup truck. I thought it was lost forever. I thought, okay, we got to build a custom whip now, Dave.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's build a Performer. So Dave was like, all right, we got to do this thing. Let's see if we can find a real Performer that we can sketch and make a model of to build this thing. So I put out an ad on Craigslist. I said, hey, if anybody's got a Performer, I would love to get my hands on one. And almost immediately I got an anonymous response like, this may be of use to you. And it was one-to-one plans of the body, like the center line and everything.
Wow.
Somebody had like drawn one up in CAD and just sent it our way. So that was the basis for the thing. And from then we just spec'd it out. 24 scallop frets, ebony fretboard. Maybe a little silly to use ebony if you're gonna scallop them anyway, but I don't know.
I mean, it's your guitar, it's your whip.
Yeah.
You do what you want.
Yeah.
What about pickups?
Pickups. So we've got Seymour Duncan in the neck and middle, hot stack for a Strat Plus, it's a mouthful. Something, one of those.
Yeah, one of those
You know,
super
one of
Strat,
those
super
super Strat.
screamer demon.
You know it, you love it.
But you used to rock Yngwie,
That's right.
referencing the scallop
The
fretboard.
scallop, yeah, I thought it was really cool how he could play very high gain with single coils and still get a very clear and articulate sound.
Yeah.
So I had those on the old whip that fell out of Ian's truck.
It's somewhere off 65 or
Yeah,
40.
seriously. I would love it if we could like put the word out there. It's like, this guitar is out there in Nashville. Like I still check Craigslist to this day. Some days
No
they
luck.
show up. But anyway, yeah.
What's in the bridge?
The bridge was hand wound by our buddy Alex Avedizian.
Oh, okay.
Down in Atlanta, he makes incredible pickups, and yeah, it's hot, but it balances well with the single coils. And I've got it wired up now so that position. I always get this confused if this one is 2 or 4, whichever one is by the bridge, it goes into single coil mode.
Okay.
And then we've got the add the neck pickup, so we can do bridge and neck, or if you're feeling fancy, all 3.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what was the decision to go with all scallop rather than like the Yngwie style where it's like
Yeah.
kind of partially up the neck?
Yeah, my teacher growing up, Stan Laster here in Nashville, all his guitars had the full scallop, and I always wanted to try it out. I was always curious what that was
Yeah.
like. Yeah, so I got to give a shout out to Stan the man.
And so you fell in love with it, obviously.
Yeah, it took some getting used to. I think it's not inherently faster, but once you adjust your touch to it, then you can really rip.
And what was the decision behind the Wilkinson here for the bridge?
I got on all parts, and I found the most expensive one. I sorted by top down. And I was like, that one's gold. I like it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
What should we know about strings that you're using?
Yeah, these are D'Addario XL. I use the coated ones. These are 11 to 48.
Yeah, you can like trail
50,
off 46.
The coated ones.
Yeah.
The 11s.
I glossed over this. I should go back because I don't want any disrespect to your mother, but
Oh,
tell me
yeah.
about the paint job.
My mom painted this.
That is so rad.
Yeah. She, Dave spray painted it like this navy blue color, and then she went over it with a metallic pen that's like acrylic paint or something. Metallic. And she signed it over here somewhere. You'd see Mom. And this was my dog at the time, Scooby, little dachshund.
Oh,
RIP.
Scoob.
Yeah, we gotta get Scoob in there.
And what's on the neck plate here?
Oh yeah, Tough Gus did this. Our drummer Tough Gus engraved this little wizard hat. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I know that I alluded to it before, but you are a Kemper guy. Among the other tube amp guys here we already spoke with. Why Kemper?
So the first time the band disbanded, as it were, back in 2018.
Yeah.
I went to engineering school to study EE and DSP, and I figured, you know what? I got to start playing through a computer now.
Yeah.
I'm a computer guy. So yeah, I was a little embarrassed at how good it sounded. I was kind of a skeptic
Really?
for a long time and plugged it in, found whatever high wattish thing that is similar to this one
Okay.
we got set up over here. And I was just for it. I was like, well, this is it. This is it. It's going to sound the same every night.
You're living in the future.
Yeah. The way of the future. It's the way of the future. We did
You're
it.
there.
We made it. Yeah, we made it, folks.
Well, what should we know about your pedal board, though? So you got an
Pedalboard.
analog, I see digital pedals, but you have a standard pedal board.
Yeah.
So tell me about how you're using those.
Okay. I'm sure you're probably noticing a theme with some of the other pedal boards of like having a lot of gain stages. So
Yeah.
the idea being like we can all kind of jump in and out and mix ourselves with level because we're all soloing all over the place. So
Yeah.
to make room for each other, we can turn boosts on or off. So we have a few gain stages here. I've got this JHS Sweet Tea. I think this is the original. Ooh, we're buzzing.
Yeah.
This is the original one, and I've got the green side on all the time.
Okay.
So first, my clean tone. Just a little bit of grit on all the time.
Excites it.
And then if we're really, really cooking, we step on the red one. I don't have that much. It's just like a minor volume boost, and then we've got the Klon, just as like a clean boost.
So that one's not on all the time. Typically, we see with guitar players, they use the Klon as the always-on pedal. So you'll go Sweet Tea for that.
Yeah.
Okay, why is that?
I was fiddling around with it for a long time, and honestly, I think it's ergonomics. I think just having the 2-in-1
Yeah.
is like, I don't have to tap dance as much if this is, because I can get both of these at the same time with one step.
Yeah.
And I just really like how this sounds as a clean boost.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And what else we got in the top row?
On the top row, we have this Ryman El Capistan V2. which was actually a graduation present from Evan Bird.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
He hooked me up last week. He was like, hey, congratulations. Have a V2. I kind of cooked my other one. I have no idea what happened to that thing. It probably got too much beer spilled on it the last show.
Absolutely.
I was like ripping my hair. I was like, what are we gonna do for this Ryman show? I'm flying in. I didn't even have my board with me a week ago. So I was like,
Oh, wow.
So Evan really hooked me up. Yeah.
I got a lot of questions about the Boss pedal. We kind of peeked at all your gear before we started filming earlier. Tell me what the hell's going on with that Boss pedal.
Okay, this is the Evan Bird signature brass balls booster, courtesy of Jesse
Does the
Rue.
Boss know you have a signature pedal?
Just between you and me. So yeah, Evan, this was another gift, a gag gift from Evan when I first moved out to Seattle to go to UW, to go to engineering school. And he's like, all right, we're doing this in UW purple. And it has, you can see his picture on here. He's holding like a can of Bud Light, just like cheesing. And it lights up and everything. So we've got Evan lit up on my my pedal board.
So
here.
is it an actual boost pedal? Or what is actually the pedal?
I think it just passes signal.
So it's not even anything.
It has a buffer in there.
Okay.
So, but it passes signal through and it lights up and looks cool. So I'm not actually running my signal through.
There's no tone coloration happening.
It's just a totem on the board.
Got it.
Right now.
I love it.
Yeah.
And now you got the standard crybaby wah.
Yeah, that was my first guitar pedal. My dad gave me that in 2002, I think. And it's still rocking.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what are you using the expression pedal for? With
this little Moog expression pedal is controlling the mix on the El Capistan. So the El Cap stays on all the time, and then we just blend it in with the foot pedal. So I can get a good mix of like dry all the way to wet. So if I'm doing like more textural stuff, kind of noodling, I'll have it open all the way, and then for leads I back it off a little bit, and then just playing, rhythm stuff.
Do you guys have kind of like a roadmap in terms of where you live with on the freeway that is Diarrhea Planet guitar players, or is it kind of just a free for all?
Yeah, it definitely started as a free for all, but then we kind of figured out where we like to live in the mix. So I think I do some of the like more textural stuff, the sparkly stuff. I wouldn't say leads per se, but then Evan and I will do like back to back like harmony lead stuff.
Gotcha. And then the Univibe you got there?
Yeah, classic Univibe. I love the Hendrix at Woodstock sound. That's one of my favorite tones of all time.
Yeah.
And just got a nice slow modulation on that. Just if I'm just like ringing out like that, I really enjoy that sound.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm sure this is more of a utilitarian thing with the taping of the knobs. It's not trying you're not trying to hide your secrets.
No secrets here. I tend to, I'm tap dancing a lot. I don't want to kick stuff. The less I can think about this stuff, the better, so we can really play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love to see you guys soar, and so you will tonight at the Ryman. We got one more man to talk to, and thank you so much for your time, Emmett.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, of course. Last but not least, we were with the fourth guitarist, the most amiable, funny, loving guy, Evan Bird. Evan, how you doing?
It's a very generous way of putting high-functioning alcoholic, Chris, but it's good to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you. I know we got to get going through this, but we did not want to miss your rig, so tell me about it.
Classiest to the nastiest. I think in my arms anymore, anything but a telly kind of feels weird, and the older I get, I'm kind of veering into heavier, weirder shaped stuff, but these are the only guitars I could ever throw and then pick back up and still play.
Yeah.
I think that may be like the Who thing. You could smash it one night, glue it together the next, and play it the third night. But I in the early days didn't want to spend money because I wanted to buy candy and stickers, and so I would go get whatever the coolest looking Squire or Mexican Fender was, and then I would take it to our man Dave Johnson, Scale Model Guitars, and have him hit the frets, maybe add some different hardware, and they kind of Frankenstein into what ends up sounding and feeling almost like a custom shop instrument.
Yeah.
But it looks like something that you would get at a Costco, so nobody's going to steal it. And if I smash it, I can Lego it back together and go into any guitar store and pick any other telly and kind of make it work. So, half out of pragmatism and half out of being.
So this is a Squire, or is this actually
This is
a
a Mexican Fender. Yeah,
Okay.
this is I think the Telecaster Thin Line Deluxe, and it started with the big reissue. I think it's like probably 2009 or 2010 is when I got it. But these are Abadesian Night Prowler pickups. Our good buddy Alex Abadesian went to school with us. Lives in Atlanta now, but he would just wind stuff for us and kind of wing it and see if we liked it, and all of us loved it. So for a long time, all of us had it. I've never gone back. Dave routed this out for SG switches. I have a push-pull just in case I need it, but Usually never need it.
Okay.
Locking tuners, because I'm a rascal. Strap locks, because I'm a rascal.
It's
I
funny.
think it's a Glendale Bridge, Glendale Fair Rules, or whatever. Whatever these are, I don't know.
Yeah. And it's funny because you guys make friendships, obviously, because you guys are lovable dudes, and then you cash in on them between Dave and Alex.
I was gonna say, yeah, they maybe got a little more than they bargained for when they shook our hand the first time. But they're both lovely. They've both been so patient, and I've never been able to stump either one of them yet. So
what should we know about strings?
10 to 52.
Okay.
The Dario, whatever the NYXL.
Yeah.
I think they're like the orange circle pack. You know. I don't know. I've got like kind of really sweaty acid fingers, so I'm constantly ripping through them, and those are the ones that lasted the longest. So, and they've been really good to us too over the years too. So
I never asked
great.
three other guys, but what are you running for tunings throughout the night?
Standard most of the time. E standard. There's a couple of drop D songs. I think probably 90% of it's just E standard, and then the drop D ones are the obvious, like metal band guy. And then we all have to click the pedals on and scramble to try to get it back, but. Mostly E standard, yeah.
Got it.
I like the 10 to 52 because I've got kind of small hands, but I wanted to get the crazy bends, but also get like the really thick chug,
Yeah.
So it's kind of split the difference, and I'm
Best of both worlds.
too lazy
type of
to go
thing.
back now, yeah. So
No, what's the difference? Why you and Emmett on wireless, where the other two guys are cables?
because they're smarter than us. They it's the fastest. I don't know. There's just so much. Thankfully, nothing's gone wrong too catastrophically, but. For me, I think, I look at a guitar and you see a guitar, but I see the hammer from Donkey Kong. And so in my mind, I was like, I want to get out and smash the barrels. So literally cutting the cable was the first step, and I just, it's so much easier now. Well, this one's weird. We'll get to it, but traditionally we used the Line 6, and we had another friend of ours, Scott Marceau, Yamaha on Line 6, and originally Seymour Duncan, who kind of took pity on us and would occasionally send us body packs. We'd be on some long tour, and I get a text from him, like, everything okay? And yeah, and he'd go, give me an address, a couple body packs would show up, and
Perfect.
cables, and shrink wrap everything for us. But
Cashing in on those friendships.
Takes a village to keep these idiots rocking.
Speaking of idiots, what's this beautiful thing?
Similar deal. This is a Squire. I think this was a John 5 signature model. I don't make these anymore, but it was originally a mirror pickguard, black open coil humbuckers, and it's some weird wiring, but the all gold, even for me, was a little bit gauche. So Dave cut me one of these. It's just master volume and tone now, Les Paul style. These are Seymour Duncan Holy Grail, or what's the Pearly Gates? Sorry.
Pearly Gates, yeah, the Billy Gibbons
Pearly
stuff.
Gates, yeah, which I kind of put these in there kind of as a placeholder until I could get more of these in gold, but I kind of like having the different flavors, and they're close enough output where it's not too big a deal.
Cool.
And then same thing, like locking tuners, strap locks. I think everything else is stock, except the pots are, I think, CTS now. But
it might be a little ostentatious for some players, but man, I feel like you can carry this thing and make it work.
You'll spoil me. Got to shout out my little, I don't know which camera.
Tacoma.
Go Hawks. But yeah, this was one, I got it. I thought it'd be funny to have a gold guitar. We had an album called Turn to Gold, and I had a lot of black Squire Tellys. And I semi-jokingly emailed our Fender guy in town. He was like, "Oh, yeah, you guys good?" I'm like, "Yeah, we're good." And I was like, "Do you have any gold Telecasters?" He's like, "Dude, just Google it." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, I see what I did."
Stepped in it.
Immediately got my hands on one, and I love it. The neck is great. It's I can't remember. It's like modeled on some 50s or 60s. I don't know. Early classic sought-after Fender neck shape. I don't know anything, but feels good to me. So good enough.
That's all that matters. Yeah. And like Emmett, you are a modeling man, so you have a Fender.
Yeah, I played a tube twin for a really long time, and I kept blowing up the preamp section. And our dear friend John Capito here in town would always tell me, like, you got to change your pedals, you got to change something, change your hair, change your life. It's not working. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll try. And
at least you got it.
I started as well for now. That's why I'm wearing a hat. I've got this hair, but. I eventually said, what do I do? I like the Fender, like this era of voicing, and I like having kind of the high and the low, but I can kind of juice it with kind of mid EQ boosty overdrives. That's kind of the closest to where I'm going. He's like, you really need a solid state something you could maybe house in a Fender thing. And like minutes after I said that, they started releasing these Tone Masters, and it's been perfect.
Yeah.
Haven't blown it up yet, so we'll see.
My biggest question I had all day, kind of getting ready for this rig rundown, and I know we're really quick going to go through the pedal board. What does the Yeti bring to the table, tonally?
It's buffered. I had all day to think.
All these zingers.
I was sitting on them. I brought it to our exit in. We went to exit in November, lured out of retirement, and I had it just to put my amp on because I didn't have a road case. I still don't have a road case, so I wanted it to be closer to ear level. And I was walking past that in my apartment and just started giggling, and I was like, well, let's try it, and end up kind of lining up just close enough where it looks like it's on purpose. So I figured I'd double down here.
Tall hinge over here.
Mother Church. I was gonna fill it with beer, and I figured there's too much wireless and cables and
too much could go wrong.
There's already gonna be plenty that's probably gonna go very wrong. So I just leave it shut for this one.
Speaking of more problems to solve, pedals. What's going on here?
Well, I once again more friends. Barry over at XTS here in town has been answering my emails very foolishly for several years, and eventually he answered one, and I was like, I'm in. But I was laughing with him before the November shows. Whenever we were at Exit In, that was kind of our home court forever in town here. And at the end of the shows, everybody would get on the stage, and there would be like more people on the stage than in the crowd. And it was always my favorite part of the set. But every single time, my pedal board, I'd get back to it, and it'd be covered in beer, and the knobs would be broken off, and there'd be like a pedal missing with like a ha 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 like written on the So I finally was like, enough's enough. I was like, I want to put a loom with the send and receive and locking IEC in it. And they're like, yeah, that's easy enough. And I was like, I need it to be 50 feet. And he was like, you don't need that. And I was like, just trust me. And so I luckily could grab this now, and I just frisbeed it to one of the security guys before we played it. And I was like, don't break the knobs, don't steal my Klon, and it worked. So they gave me, they built this little buffer box for me for the in and out. Locking IEC, Boss Tuner, classic, Klon KTR that was given to us. I don't know, somebody might have mentioned it, but we were lucky enough to meet Bill Finnegan, and he was, again, answered an email once, and then it was toast. But
I'm not going to answer that email from you guys.
Yeah, you're playing with fire. But yeah, I put my Go Huskies, Go University of Washington on there. It's a long story, but this is a Greer Super Cobra, which I think is supposed to be kind of a Marshall-y in a box type of deal. And there's 3 clipping modes. I always have it in kind of the beefier mode to
juice it up.
Give me that beef. And then this is an XTS Winford, which I think is based on a big box Rat, but has expanded parameters. Everything is just kind of, you can get a little more high and low, and there's a bigger gain range. And then this Dispatch Master, I think it's the version 2, if that matters. I still have a Pink Panther JHS, which might be my favorite, with the actual, like the pre-cease and desist one with the actual Panther, but every time I try to turn it on, I'd hit both switches and it'd mess the tap tempo up, and I get a little forgetful sometimes on stage, so I figured just one switch would probably be fine. I use the delay for maybe 2 minutes out of the hour, so it's been sounding great. I like the reverb too, and then back into the buffer and back to the stack, back to the Yeti.
Evan, I really appreciate you. I know we're up against it. I appreciate all the guys that we talked to and the Ryman for letting us do these things. Love you guys. Keep hanging. Keep rocking.